House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
Welcome to the section of the program where we want to teach you how to make maximum revenue for your property, and of course that is the goal. Liz and Gina from RE/MAX Diamond Realty Guam are here. Now, ladies, we're going to talk about a topic today that is really interesting. Yeah. What legally can you do to make sure that you sell your property when you're ready to sell and get optimum value for it? Because the law, of course, does dictate, you know, what you can and can't do.
Yeah, we have to follow the zoning regulations and more importantly, the setback regulations. So, you know, we come across this all the time. I think we kind of touched on it before about, and for instance, I'm working on a couple of listings that I looked at the property for my owner. They live in Mangilao. And I said, wow, you know, you have quite a lot of extensions. And they explained to me that, you know, their father in the past was using the facility for a business, and he actually had a rent. So he built onto his house.
Guest house, outside kitchen, that typical thing.
Yeah. But the problem was when they did the extensions, and sometimes you do the extension, like if I had adult kids and I wanted to add on something in my home, you have to keep in mind that the law requires that you be, in most areas, generally you need 15 feet from the front boundary.
Right.
10 feet
so
from
you
the
can't
back.
build, 10 feet in the back and 8 on both sides.
Yes.
If you build over that area, you're now making your house illegal. And so what happens when you do that? You talked about value, right? Maximizing your value. Once you do that, and I'll use this particular property as a good example because they built into those areas. They built onto the side. It was up until the fence line.
Point,
Yeah. And so I said, you know, if I cannot find a way to make this legal, non-conforming, then the value will be under 200,000. But if we prove that it was built and it was legally built, you know, that we can find you know, some kind of document to show that it was legally built, then the value goes up to almost $50,000.
Okay, now that's interesting, Liz, because Gina just said the value would decrease even though it's against the law. I'm amazed you can even still sell it at that point, because if you're encroaching on possibly somebody else's property.
This isn't so here's the difference between an encroachment.
I would assume that you can't even sell it.
So there's a difference. A setback is an issue. So what she's explaining is making it legal non-conforming. So if the structure is up to the boundary point, it's non-conforming. So you can't sell it.
But still within letter of the law.
Right.
Okay.
But what's going to happen? So how do we cure that? So in order to cure that, there's a number of things. One, you either demolish the building. So any potential buyer, they can't go to the bank and they can't get a loan because the bank will not loan because it's non-conforming. It doesn't meet the guidelines of the law. So how do you cure it? Any potential buyer, if it would probably have to be a cash buyer, what they would have to do is shave part of that structure. They'd have to demolish it.
Yeah.
So that's one way. They'd have to demolish up to 10 feet from the rear, 8 feet from the sides, and 15 feet. So can you imagine? And on Guam, what happens is as their families grow, they continue to build to extend to accommodate their families' needs, right? But in the old days, nobody really thought about the guidelines and everything. So now that they're ready to sell, we need to make sure it does conform. So number one, curing it would be shaving it and allowing to meet the guidelines. And the other way is if it was constructed between a window of time where the law was not in effect regarding setback issues, that is where we would take it to land, they would take it to land management and certify that it was built during this window of time where the law was not in effect. And therefore they could get some certification that says this is considered non-conforming, legal non-conforming, and it meets the government guidelines.
It's also interesting how you both use the term shaving because, because that in some cases
demolishing.
She makes it sound easy.
No, exactly.
Shaving,
That's my point exactly.
Demolishing.
Yeah, in some cases that may mean knocking down an entire wall. You know, taking off the extension.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's demolishing.
Demolishing it.
So if the
You
property,
guys are kind of burying the lead there a little bit. It's like that's a major job.
it's
It is.
Yes,
It is.
Yeah.
and that's
But
why.
ironically, you
and
tear
that's
that
why
down to increase the
Yes.
value of your property.
Exactly. And that's exactly why, because it's illegal, any person who buys it, like Liz mentioned, if you can't get a bank loan, you have to look at everything. I look at it like as a bowl of marbles. So if I'm selling a property that's completely legal, that bowl is full. But once you eliminate and you add an issue like, okay, this property is illegal, then I have to remove all the marbles that are going to be using a bank loan. I have less buyers available, and the cash buyers, cash buyers who are buying a property that they have to demolish,
do something.
that's going to cost money, and they're not going to give you the highest value.
And they use that as a negotiating tool.
Of course.
To bring the price down. One of the factors they would do is, what does it cost to demolish that? It might cost $50,000. So they already subtract that from the price. What is it going to cost to secure that border?
Exactly, because you can't just knock down the wall. Now you have to. Now you've got rebar sticking out. You've got possibly electrical lines.
What's the cost to reconstruct it and secure it? That's another cost. So they'll start to keep track. And this is what we tell all our clients when we're listing property: cost to cure. There's got to be a cost to cure it. So we as agents, Gina and I, have to get creative. We have to figure out, how can we solve it? How can we fix the problem? So we're in problem-solving mode.
Well, hopefully it doesn't even get to that point. So long story short, everybody, just don't mess up in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
15 feet in the front of your property, 10 feet in the back, 8 feet on either side.
And don't guess on that, please.
Yeah.
Get a surveyor to mark the points, because my dad guessed and he guessed wrong.
Don't just tell your son, hey boy, go out there and bring the tape measure and we'll figure
it's
it
from
out.
that coconut tree. That's how he.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that coconut tree, and that coconut tree over the years.
So this kind of thing can really come back and bite you in the dog.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time. Thank you as always for watching. Man, I love these two. They're so awesome. All right. We'll be back next time.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&E. Explore your world.